Someone who takes a piece of information and sneezes it. The sneeze passes on. It's like a cold, not a virus, but you literally pass it along. You know, if I sneeze, I'm going to hit 15 people. So, you know, I can hit, right now I'm hitting, you know, more than just the people here. I'm hitting, well, 110 people in this particular chat room, not to mention Joey Ito's chat room, not to mention how many other chat rooms that it might be tuning in, not to mention your blogs, not to mention these conversations that, you know, can't possibly be tracked.
Okay.
So one sneeze starts it all.
Jim Lauterbach's here, and if he puts this conversation into PC Magazine,
Magazine, thank you.
You almost buried yourself there.
And Norton's sitting next to him, and Patrick Norton's sitting next to him on DLTV.
And we're both really sick.
So you guys are all sneezers here.
You're both really sick because you've been sneezing all week, yeah?
So let's tie this back to a web strategy.
So how do you pass the sneeze outside of the self-referential community?
Exactly what that's
Well,
going
you guys have read about it.
So actually, Thomas,
Yeah.
for a Zoomer and for your own personal brand, how do you use these sneezing strategies to get your word out? You guys don't have, you know, a huge marketing budget. What's your strategy?
Well, I think to a certain degree, all of these tools are amplification of a message, and I don't think there's any one tool that you use, whether it's Flickr or Zoomer or Twitter or your blog or any Facebook, whether it's any sort of social community, any sort of media presence. I think particularly with small companies, I think having access to these various social media channels gives you an opportunity to talk about your product. And so I think whether it's Twitter, and the more involved you are, the larger even that little micro community is. Eventually, a lot of that spreads outside through broader application and search technology and things like that, and the mainstream news and the mainstream press. But I found that I've started stuff that's been a short little story on my blog or on a photo on Flickr, for instance, that ends up in the mainstream press and ends up in the New York Times. So, one of the things that some of my most popular images, I'm kind of a photographer's right, I guess, and I'm out there shooting every single day. I shoot about 300 images a day, and I shoot a lot of architecture, particularly in San Francisco, so I get run-ins with security guards all the time. And 9 out of 10 of those I don't blog or I don't do anything about, but occasionally you'll get someone that's really confrontational, and it's my right to shoot on the street, and so I'll take a photograph of them. One of my most viewed photographs at a place like Flickr that ends up, getting a dig and ends up getting covered even in the mainstream press. Wired magazine followed me around town and did a feature based on that. Is this sort of interaction, and it started with a photograph of this offender who was, physically grabbing me.
Was that the bald guy?
What's that?
The bald guy?
Yeah, the bald guy. Yeah, but I think the point there is that that's such a powerful image in a way that it can start out on Flickr, and the question is how does it get beyond that, and ultimately ended up in Wired. So I think that and it could be whether it's Twitter and it ends up on the front page of Dig, or whether it's an article in Dig or something on Reddit or something on Twitter or Facebook, or again, any of these different channels. There's so many different channels, and I think those that understand social media kind of embrace all of them and look to have a presence in, some more than others. Like Robert's certainly more involved with Twitter.
You said something, you said a phrase, social community, and I just found that ironic. Have we slapped labels on so many things that now we're calling them social communities? I don't know what else to call a community. It's just interesting. It's
Social community group.
Right, it's social community group that we've labeled ourselves, and I think to your point, it's when it becomes relevant and human. It's not technology for the sake of technology, but my wife, who is definitely not into technology, the first thing she latched onto out of anything was Twitter. Why? Because it was simple. She got it, and it fit. It fit what she wanted to do.
And Twitter is definitely a good example. I got into it around November when the growth curve started going up, and some people say it's because I got on it, but no, actually I'm just a good studier of things that double and have doubling effects. That's why I read so much, because I'm just looking for doubling effects. I'm not a visionary. The visionaries are the people who build the technology and see a world and build you a world that they saw before you knew you wanted it.